What is going on, guys? So today we are going to answer the question of whether or not you can actually survive off of military retirement pay. Okay, so in this video, I am not only going to answer the question of can you live off of military retirement pay, I'm actually going to try and show you what you can kind of expect to get, whether you're an officer, whether you're enlisted, whether you did 20 years in the reserves, or whether you're doing 20 years active duty. I'm going to try to give you a roundabout of what you could actually expect getting. And in these examples, I'm kind of going off of what I would potentially get. So if I did active duty 20 years, officer, enlisted, just to help things kind of simplify out, but some of these numbers could change. Link is down in the description if you want to play around with the calculator, retirement calculator for the new Army retirement system and kind of figure out what you would actually be looking at if you're wanting to enlist later on or if you've already got a few years in service right now. So two key things to point out really quickly is that no matter what branch of service you're in the military, it's the same retirement pay, right? So all the pay grades across the military are the exact same. Whenever you get your retirement pay, you're not going to be getting all the special bonus pay. It's just going to be your base pay that you're going to get, which is going to be the same across the board. The only thing extra that you might get is if you happen to have any disabilities or anything that was caused by the military, they could give you extra pay, but I'm not going to cover that whatsoever in this video. And then also, obviously, 20 years of active duty service, you get retirement immediately when you retire. If you do not do all 20 years of active duty service and you have some reserve service, right, you are going to get your retirement pay at age 60. You will get it at age 60. So if you did 19 years active and 1 year reserve, then you're going to have to wait until 60. So I would just recommend, obviously, doing that extra time. Okay, so just put it all up there up front. Can you actually survive and live off of retirement pay in the military for people in the reserves or the National Guard? The answer, unless I guess you did 19 years of active duty, is no, right? So for 99.99% of people, if you are in the reserves or the Guard, will you be able to live off of your retirement pay? The answer is no, because things are done a whole lot differently. You don't have 20 years of active duty service. It's basically 20 years of part-time service. So there's no reason of why your pay should be the exact same as somebody who did 20 years of active duty service. So you will not be able to live off of that. If you're active duty though, it's going to depend upon, number one, where you live, the lifestyle that you like to keep up, the rank that you retire at, and potentially how many more years than 20 years you actually do. For the purposes of this video, I'm just going to simply cut things off at 20 years, but if you didn't know, if you do your 20 years and you do extra years on top of that, so let's say you do 24 years, 25 years, you're gonna get a lot more benefit from your retirement from doing that. So keep that in mind. That's why a lot of people stay in a really long time. So for reservists like myself, it is a little bit of a bummer, obviously. Yeah, you're not gonna get retirement pay that you're gonna get to, chill out on the beach all the time and just not have to worry about finances. But the pay that you're going to get, as I will show you for reservists later in the video, it's definitely nothing to just be like, oh, that's just play money or whatever. It's a substantial amount of money that is going to help improve your lifestyle a lot, but you're not just going to be living off of that for the rest of your life. So if you go to the site I linked down below, you're going to be able to input all of these different variables on what you want to do. I tried to stick with the defaults and kind of the roundabout averages that you're going to do. And since we're in the new blended retirement system, that means you're going to have the thrift savings plan, which is essentially kind of like a 401k in which the Army is going to, or the military is going to match whatever you put in. So if you want to make the blended retirement system work for you, in order to actually get some of the numbers that I'm putting in this video, is you need to max out your TSP, right? So whatever pay you're getting from the Army, you need to go and make sure you have that set up and set to 5% of your income, because the Army or the military is going to match 5% of your income, okay? So you need to, above all else, right, do that. It's free money that you're getting from the government. Do it in order for the blended retirement system to work out in full effect. Now, in the first example that I'm going to do, it's 20 years of myself. If I happen to do active duty service, 20 years from now, what's my retirement pay going to be looking at whenever I retire? And then, whenever I turn 60, whenever I can start drawing from that thrift savings plan, my actual retirement account, right? So that's kind of like a normal, like 401k. You can't start drawing from that until you're, I think, age 59 and a half. but for these purposes, I just put age 60. And the last thing that I want to point out that is super duper important is the majority of these numbers that I'm going to show you guys are with future dollars. So the worth of the dollar right now is not the same as what it's going to be later on in life. So whenever it's 20 years from now when you retire, you know, the Army's pay is going to be different. You know, inflation is going to change. All these variables are going to change. So in order to get kind of like an accurate look of the amount of money you're going to have then, you need to take the little futures dollar thing. But if you want to kind of like show how much the money is worth in today's money, it's going to be a whole lot less, but you can also have that option available for you. But I pretty much on most of this stuff did futures dollars. And for futures dollars, as an officer, starting out right now as an 01, 20 years of service, when I go to retire, right? So my retirement pay, if you were active duty and you retire as an 04, which is a major, you can change, that could be an 05, that could be whatever, but retiring as an 04, the retirement pay for the first year is going to be about $55,000, right? $55,000 a year is pretty good money, right? So potentially you could live off of that, but you're not going to be living a luxury lifestyle at $55,000 a year. For North Carolina, I looked it up, the average home income in North Carolina is $52,000, but California, it's like $72,000, right? So you're going to be below average in California if you got that. The Army doesn't say, hey, if you live in this one area, we're gonna pay you more. It's just base pay across the board. Now, the thing is though, whenever you turn 60 years old, your retirement pay is going to now include the TSP. And with the futures dollars and stuff, you're gonna be looking at getting about $149,000 a year. That first year, whenever you turn 60 years old, if you were an active duty officer and you retired at 04, that's about how much you're gonna be getting as long as you, contributed 5% to your TSP. And then whenever you projectively die at age 85, you're gonna be having about $265,000 a year, so like $250,000 for your retirement. So if you're an officer, you are definitely not gonna have to like worry about like going under if you retire as an officer. If you retire as an 04, again, variables can change. You can do more than 20 years, and that $55,000 at retirement could easily be $70,000 or $80,000. And another major factor that could really increase or decrease the amount of retirement pay you're gonna get is whether or not you decide to do a lump sum payment for your retirement. So whatever pension you have, you can choose to do a 25% lump sum, you can choose to do a 50% lump sum, you can have that in one payment or multiple payments. So, you know, for the example of this officer, that I think it was about $194,000 lump sum for a 25% pension whenever you retire. So basically at 20 years of service, as soon as you retire, you can request that lump sum payment. And if you're like good at investing, or maybe you're trying to start a business or something when you retire, you can use that. And that would be, if you use it smartly, you could end up, creating more wealth for the rest of your life. If you don't use it smartly, then you could just blow it. And then because you're using that lump sum, then your pension is a little bit less for the rest of your life, but it's not really dramatic. I would just recommend honestly doing a 25%, because at 50%, I'm not sure what you would be spending it on. Maybe if you're wanting to start a business and you have the money to where it would be okay if you went under, but I would just recommend the 25% lump sum. That's probably what I'm gonna do. Now quickly looking at an active duty enlisted soldier, I put on this that you're starting at rank E2, which is what I think the vast majority of you are gonna be coming in at, and then you're retiring at E7. It is very possible to retire as an E8 or even an E9 at 20 years, but for the majority of people, you're probably just gonna get to E7, because it's a little bit more difficult to get promoted to try to get that E8 or try to get first sergeant or whatever. So keep that in mind. It's gonna be E2 to E7 is what I'm going for this. And at 20 years, whenever you retire, your pay is gonna be about $41,000, okay? So $41,000, it's not, a crap ton of money. That's future dollars as well. Keep in mind, that's future dollars. In today's dollar, I did write down that it's actually only $22,000. So that same amount of money today is technically worth only about $22,000. And this is why I said that for officers, you're probably gonna be pretty good if you retire and you just retire it as an 04 and just right on the dot at 20 years. However, I would just recommend doing a little bit longer because the benefits are really good if you just put in an extra 4 years. But let's say you did enlisted, you retired at E7, you get about $41,000 a year for your first year. The pay will go up because, as I've mentioned, you got inflation, things like that, and your retirement pension and stuff, that what the military is matching for you, right? That is also going to go up as the military pay goes up itself. So $41,000 that first year, you know, it'll be very, very nice, but I think in most cases with that amount of money in most places in the United States, you're gonna need at least like a part-time job to where you're making maybe $20,000 a year, $30,000 a year, or maybe you have a spouse and they're just doing something, or if you just wanna start a small little business with a little bit of income, that's something that you can definitely do. And then also keep in mind that you still can do like that 25% lump sum and kind of maybe live off of that for a little bit, maybe try to start a business, and then if that fails, then you can kind of just start drawing your pension, which would be pretty simple. It's a nice little cushion for you. Are you gonna live off of $41,000 a year 20 years from now? Probably not, but it's going to be really beneficial. Now, if you retire as an E9, that number is gonna be a lot higher. If you do 25 years in the military, that number is also gonna be a lot higher, but if you do 20 years, it's kind of iffy. Now, the nice thing about the TSP here is whenever you're, theoretically from age 40 to age 60, you're getting that smaller amount. Whenever you hit that age 60 and you can start drawing from your TSP, in this example, your pay is going to be about $100,000 a year. Again, that is future money. So I know this video is long and I'm going to talk about the reserves here in just a second. But in summary, for officers, you should definitely be good to go. There's really no reason why I would see you retiring at anything less than an 04. I don't see like a captain retiring in the military. And then for enlisted, I don't see somebody retiring less than an E7. Those are goals that you should definitely hit if you are going for 20 years. But keep in mind also, you can retire at a higher rank. You can do more years in service. Link is in the description if you want to calculate what you're going to be looking at getting. And it's also kind of fun to do, like if you were to look at the retirement pay for generals and stuff that's got like 30 years of time in service, it is absolutely insane. But now, for my real world example, Army, reserves, or just National Guard, reserve, military pay, what is that going to be? For the numbers that I put in on this example, it is essentially a reservist who has done their 20 years of service, but of those 20 years, about 4 of those years are active duty, right? So you're gonna get more points. And just to explain really, really quickly, the way Reserve and National Guard retirement works is it's based off of points. And every year you get so many points. And I think the minimum for a good year is like 70 or 75 points. And essentially you get 1 point every day, okay? So technically active duty, you're gonna be getting like 365 points a year. Reservist, you're probably gonna be getting around, let's say 75, 80 points a year. So you can look at your retirement just based off of that bare bones minimum is gonna be about a fourth of your active duty counterpart. So if you just did drilling your entire Army Reserve or National Guard career, you just drilled and you didn't have any deployments, your retirement pay is probably going to be somewhere around a fourth of what this same rank is going to be retiring at on the active duty side. But for this example, I put 4 years, right, of active duty time because maybe you're going to have 3 or 4 deployments. Maybe you've done some extra training and stuff. For me personally, like I've been in the military for about 4 years and I've got probably close to 1.5 years of like active duty time. So I'm kind of just going based off of that. Maybe I get a couple deployments and some more trainings and stuff. So those are the numbers that I'm working with. And also I'm not calculating enlisted retirement pay for this because it's just not a lot, right? So it's just simply not a lot. You could probably cut the officer pay that I'm talking about here, like at least, around about a half, right? So about a half of what I'm gonna cover here. And that is for myself. This is like my retirement plan right here. At 60 years old, because again, you don't get your retirement pay until you're 60. I'm probably throwing up some graphs. There's a gap of where you're not gonna be getting any kind of pay. So from the time you retire from the military in the reserves of the National Guard till age 60, you're just gonna have to figure things out on your own. But once you hit age 60 and you can start drawing from your government pension as well as your TSP, you're gonna be looking at getting about $41,000, which includes your pension and your TSP, and that is at age 60. So for the officer side on active duty, it was about 50, I think it was like 50 something thousand, I already forgot it. It was 50 something thousand, but that was after 20 years from today. This is $41,000 40 years from today. So in today's money, that's only about $22,000. Now again, this is not enough to live off of, right? I really do not, like, you'd have to be living a very, very, very humble life, right, to live off of this. But it's definitely some good money, and hopefully you've had other retirements accounts, so whatever your civilian job is, you've been, you know, contributing to your retirement there. You got a Roth IRA or something. So this $41,000 is just supplemental to whatever else that you have going on. And then also I do have here, you may have seen it in the little bit of me scrolling down, is I did opt into hopefully getting a 25% lump sum. So in this calculation, the first year that I turned 60 years old, I'm gonna get basically about $79,000, which is the regular base pay of about $41,000 that I'll get, plus my lump sum in future dollars. Keep in mind, future dollars. And then for me, whenever I die at age 85, I'll be getting about $82,000 from my military pension, my military retirement. You know, you might think that it's kind of stupid, but really at age 60, you're still really young. You know, my dad, I think, is turning 60 in like a year or two. Like he's almost 6 years old right now, and he's got so much of his life ahead of him. So waiting until 60 for your retirement is not that big of a deal. Me personally, that was a 20-year time and service calculation. I plan on doing about 25 years of time and service, so that should go up a little bit. Maybe it's not $41,000 when I retire. Maybe it's gonna be about $45,000 when I retire. It's still gonna be nice to have that little bit of extra money, which will be about, you know, $3,000 to $4,000 a month that I don't have to worry about for the rest of my life. So I know this was a really long video, but there was a lot of numbers and a lot of things that I wanted to discuss. I wanted to talk about active, reserve, officer, and enlisted retirement pays, and the topic of, you know, can you actually live off of it? Again, active, yeah, you should be good. Reserve, no, you definitely need something else to live off of, but it's definitely some good money that you don't want to just like throw away like it's not a big deal. It's definitely a big deal, like I said, getting $41,000 a year for myself whenever I retire. So if you made it to the end of this video, leave a comment down below, because this is definitely gonna be one of my longer ones, and I would really appreciate it if you guys did that. It's good for the algorithm. Likes also good for the algorithm and all of that stuff. And if you haven't already, hit the like button. If you want to stick around some more of my videos, hit that subscribe button. That would be even better. The notification bell button is really where it's at, though, people. The notification bell button. That would really make my day. Follow me on Instagram and Snapchat if you haven't already. Pick up some of this awesome merch, right? If you don't get this shirt, you're probably not going to have a retirement pension whenever you retire from the military. They're just going to say, hey, you know, you didn't pick up that Mount Ward Army gold paint t-shirt. You know, you really just shot yourself in the foot there. So make sure you guys do that. Link is down in the description as well as on the end card. I hope you guys have an amazing freaking day, and I will see you later.